Hi, this is Gilly Goldfarb. Thank you very much for joining. Today I'm going to be talking about the best nutritional interventions for heart failure. Congestive heart failure is a chronic heart disease that affects the whole body. It is a serious public health concern due to its high prevalence, high risk of hospitalization, and mortality risk, as well as cost of care and reduced quality of life. The progressively weakened heart muscle is unable to pump enough blood to sustain normal circulation, making basic functions such as breathing, eating, walking, sleeping very difficult to perform. And as a result of the weakened heart, fluid will accumulate in the body. Now, this fluid accumulation offsets the delicate balance of filtration pressures and causes fluid to collect within intercellular spaces inside the cells instead of flowing in the blood. The kidneys also get a decreased renal blood flow, which under healthy conditions occurs when a person is dehydrated, has insufficient fluids in their blood. So what the kidneys do is they respond by increasing blood pressure, which is important when there is dehydration, but it's actually detrimental when there is heart failure. Now, antidiuretic hormone is released and it stimulates the resorption of water in the kidneys. The hormone aldosterone is also released by the adrenal glands, which causes the resorption of sodium, and water flows after the sodium in the kidneys. Consequently, there is more fluid retention and swelling, edema, especially in the legs. This becomes worse and worse. The most common causes of heart failure are coronary heart disease, heart attack, and chronic high blood pressure. The prevalence of congestive heart failure varies between 6 and 13% of the population, and these numbers are expected to rise. Now, with almost 30% of people with heart failure not surviving their first year after hospitalization, the mortality rate is very, very high. Now, from a pharmaceutical perspective, there are minimal therapeutic options mainly aimed to control fluid imbalance that results in pulmonary edema, excess fluid in the lungs. Now, heart failure patients are a growing population, and even if medical advances prolong their life, quality of life must definitely be cared for, which is best done through lifestyle and dietary changes. Poor diet and malnutrition are often linked to heart failure, also linked to hospitalization and mortality from the disease, because food choices increase the risk of heart disease and high blood pressure, which are the risk factors for the disease. And so transitioning to healthier food options and lifestyle habits have very promising results in improving heart failure related outcomes and the quality of life, of course. So let's talk about the best lifestyle and nutritional interventions for heart failure. Number one, exercise. Exercise in heart failure is also actually used as a diagnostic tool to determine heart failure, and it's also a predictive tool regarding the course of the disease. But exercise is also considered valuable in stabilizing the disease. Before the onset of heart failure, epidemiological studies consistently show an inverse connection between heart fitness and the risk of heart failure and heart disease and mortality. People who do less exercise will have a less stronger heart muscle, and the heart fitness is a risk factor for heart disease and mortality. One study recently reviewed the science behind the heart benefits of exercise, and it concluded that that even no low exercise threshold exists for heart benefits, meaning that you can actually do any exercise as long as it's done consistently to have any benefit compared with doing no exercise at all. There's also another study led by the National Taiwan University Hospital researchers that looked at 95 participants who were diagnosed with heart failure, and the researchers concluded that exercise helped stabilize these patients and decrease the occurrence of hospitalization and readmissions to the hospital. Generally, the best exercise for heart failure includes endurance sports such as walking, light jogging, or swimming or cycling, and other low-impact aerobic activities. Exercise also helps strengthen the muscles, which improve the muscle's ability to draw oxygen from the blood, and this reduces the load on the heart. The heart has functional, structural, cellular, and molecular improvements in response to exercise. So I advise light activity, even light activity, a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. Now also, a heart-healthy diet is crucial. Hypertension, obesity, and abnormal amount of fats in the blood, and as well as insulin resistance, diabetes, and inflammation will lead to heart failure. Nutritional factors have been proven to be the main contributors of these diseases and conditions. People with heart failure often have poor nutritional habits, poor nutritional status that profoundly affects the progression of the disease and is related to its prognosis. People with heart failure break down more tissues and have an increased resting energy expenditure, requiring about 250 calories more per day than healthy sedentary people. If you do not consume sufficient energy, this is often accompanied by low essential micronutrient consumption, leading to nutrient deficiencies. And these nutrient deficiencies have an effect also on the outcome of the condition. Superfoods that support heart health are important as they are rich in essential nutrients and antioxidants. You can take these foods along with more carbohydrate, fiber-rich whole foods. Now, these superfoods include leafy green vegetables, nuts, broccoli, oats, barley grass, and berries. However, it is not enough, as I mentioned, to eat these superfoods. You have to change your diet as well and to strengthen heart function and prevent heart failure. The heart-healthy diet includes a variety of nutrient-dense, high-fiber, low-saturated fats, no trans fat foods. A heart-healthy diet emphasizes whole, plant-based foods, including fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy sources of protein, including legumes, nuts, and seeds. And there are observational and interventional evidence supporting this. Higher dietary quality provides protective qualities. At the same time, red, processed meats, eggs, refined carbohydrates, such as white grains, are harmful to heart health and are risk factors for heart failure. Now, potential mechanisms that prevent and help support people with heart failure include decreasing oxidative stress by eating less animal proteins and processed foods, lowering homocysteine and inflammation levels. You can see my videos on inflammation and on homocysteine by doing a search in my channel for these videos. I will also add a link at the bottom of this video to these. These are very important. Also, higher antioxidant levels and nitric oxide bioavailability through more consumption of fruits and vegetables is very important. And supporting foods for a healthy gut microbiome by increasing fiber intake is crucial. Eating healthy cooked foods until they are soft to make them eating less laborious is also, and less uncomfortable, is also very important, as well as eating frequent smaller meals. 5 to 6 small meals a day is better than eating heavy meals, which also put a bigger load on the heart, and also they need more energy to digest these heavy meals. Now, fluid intake should be limited to 2 liters per day for people with mild symptoms of heart failure. And for more advanced stages, fluid should be restricted to about 1 to 1.5 liters per day. Alcohol consumption should be avoided as it contributes to heart disease. Now, lycopene in particular is beneficial for heart health and helps support people with heart failure and edema. Lycopene is among the most abundant dietary carotenoids, functioning as a potent antioxidant, blocking free radical damage. And the best sources of dietary lycopene are tomatoes and tomato paste pasta sauces, tomato soup, cherry tomatoes, tomato paste as well. Add these foods to your diet regularly to reduce the swelling, the edema common in heart failure. And you may also want to supplement with lycopene capsules at around 20 to 25 milligrams 5 times a week with breakfast. Also, vitamin C is crucial. It lowers oxidative stress and it is a potent antioxidant. Vitamin C rich fruits include citrus fruits and berries. Vitamin C rich vegetables include bell peppers, potatoes, tomatoes, and cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, and maca. You also want to reduce your salt intake. It is crucial to alleviate volume overload, which is excessive fluids in the body. Heart failure triggers hormones that lead to excess fluid retention, which results in swelling and edema. So excess sodium intake has been implicated in several studies as a participating factor for more hospital admissions due to the symptoms of decompensated heart failure. Now, dietary sodium restriction is therefore necessary. You want to lessen your sodium in your diet. Your body only needs so much sodium for it to function effectively. And the main source of dietary sodium is common table salt, sodium chloride. Eating too much salt will increase blood pressure, causing fluid retention. In a study on peripheral edema in the limbs, the lower legs or the hands, common in heart failure, the researchers associated sodium and water retention with edema formation. They expressed that limiting sodium and water excretion prevents edema. You can also reduce sodium in your diet by carefully reading food labels. Look for foods advertised as no salt added or low sodium. And rather than adding salt to your dishes, look for healthier alternatives for adding flavor to your food, such as garlic, spices, herbs, or a dash of citrus fruit, dash of lemon. You may also replace all salt added to foods used in cooking with a natural vegetable salt made from vegetables that are naturally high in salt and sodium content, such as celery, carrots, and beets. You can find this in most health food shops. Now, the taste for salt is acquired. Some people heavily salt their foods. It is a habit without even tasting the food first. So you can change this acquired taste for salt slowly and gradually by lowering your salt intake, and it takes about 3 days where you will not need so much salt, and you will actually want to lower your salt content because your taste buds will not be adjusted to salt anymore, to high salt intake anymore. Now, sufficient levels of sodium in your diet is about 1,500 milligrams per day for adults up to the age of 50, and then it's slightly less. Most people consume double this or more. Reducing processed food intake like pickles, olives, bacon, chips, and stopping any additional salt added to your foods is crucial for reducing salt intake. So, as I said, you can also flavor your foods with onions as well. Now, dairy and eggs are associated with increased heart failure risk. Studies report an increased incidence of heart failure associated with egg consumption, especially when consuming 6 or more eggs a week. So people who are athletes and think that eggs are healthy for them, this is not true. I made a video also on eggs as well. You can watch that video as well. Fats, there are studies that have established the association between trans fat consumption and heart disease, and the recognition that trans fat harms the heart has led some countries to restrict industrial trans fat from food products. Trans fats are also found in all animal products, therefore should be limited, including dairy and eggs, as mentioned, as a preventative measure, especially people who are suffering from high blood pressure, heart disease. Also, monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats are much better. They actually lower heart disease risk and heart failure risk. One study reported a 65% decrease in left ventricular systolic dysfunction risk with olive oil consumption. So you can consume these fats. Studies also reported that heart failure patients with higher saturated and trans fat have higher levels of inflammation, and inflammation is a risk factor for heart failure. A large prospective study reported a dose response associated with between fried foods and heart failure, and they found 103% increase in heart failure risk in people that consume the highest fried foods compared with the people who consume the lowest fried foods, the lowest amount of fried foods. The best sources of these healthy fats that I mentioned include flax and chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts, almonds, Brazil nuts, and pistachios, as well as avocados and olives. Overall, the best diet for treating and preventing heart failure is a whole food, plant-based diet, as is the Gorilla Diet and Lifestyle Program based on scientific evidence. This diet contains heart protective nitrates and nutrients including magnesium, potassium, and antioxidants. It is a diet rich in foods that support a healthy gut microbiome with the right food combinations of foods for health, and it is low in saturated and trans fats. Now, you also want to stop smoking. Smoking is a risk factor for many diseases, especially heart disease. In a study to establish the link between smoking and heart failure, researchers analyzed smokers and non-smokers to determine whether smoking increases the risk for heart failure, and the study concluded that smoking adversely affects heart function and increases heart failure risk. Cigarette smoke has nicotine, volatile compounds like aldehydes, toxic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and nitrosamines, aromatic amines and heterocyclic amines, and heavy metals including arsenic, cadmium, and lead, causing genetic mutations, DNA damage, and oxidative damage. All of these lead to irritation, inflammation, even cancer and heart disease, as well as high blood pressure and plaque buildup in the artery walls, as well as decreased heart function. Now, another study concluded that doctors should support smoking cessation as early as possible, and that non-smokers should be encouraged not to start smoking. I recommend joining a program to stop smoking if you are a smoker. I have seen many people succeed in Allen Carr programs. Now, you also want to boost blood circulation. You may have a job that keeps you sedentary for long periods. Unfortunately, sitting or standing in one position too long will increase the pressure inside your blood vessels, causing fluid to leak into the tissues, and your legs and feet will become swollen and puffy. To prevent this, keep your blood circulating throughout the day. Take a break from work, walk around the office, or go up a flight or two of stairs every half an hour. It's perfect. As I mentioned earlier in this video, exercising has been identified as efficient in lowering limb edema, and walking is great for edema, and it promotes healthy blood circulation and shifts the collected fluid. Now, let's talk about supplements quickly. Vitamin D is very important when it's necessary. Vitamin D is prevalent among people with heart failure. Low vitamin D levels are predictive of poor outcomes for heart failure patients as well. The supplementation of 2,000 international units for 6 weeks has been reported to lower plasma renin activity in people with heart failure, which is important. Another study revealed that vitamin D supplementation in people with heart failure with baseline vitamin D levels had lower aldosterone concentration, lower fluid retention. Overall, supplementing with vitamin D is beneficial for heart failure. However, a one-off dose of vitamin D supplementation at about 50,000 international units is not beneficial and showed no improvement. So I recommend regularly supplementing with 2,000 international units of vitamin D when necessary. You can check your vitamin D levels through a regular blood test, and you can see more about vitamin D on a video that I made on this subject. Also, coenzyme Q10 studies show that supplementation benefits people with heart failure. It enhances heart muscle contractility and influences endothelial function. Other studies show that long-term supplementation with coenzyme Q10 can improve heart failure symptoms and reduce all-cause mortality. So to conclude this long video, I'm sorry, but a high-fiber diet, whole food, plant-based diet, such as the Gorilla Diet, with little animal protein, accompanied by exercise, smoking cessation, supplementing with vitamin D, coenzyme Q10, vitamin C, and vitamin D when it's necessary, is beneficial and recommended for people suffering from heart failure. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please also subscribe to my channel if you like this type of content, and visit my website, thegorilladiet.com, to help you move your health and wellness to a better place for you. Thank you very much for joining.